The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has done another whoopsie as he exposed himself and his own legacy in public on Twitter. Yeah, for those getting excited, he didn't expose himself in that way. But the job of politicians, apart from lying and trying their best not to lose their seats every time, is technically to either say good things about themselves and their track record, or to just attack their opposition, their rivals. That's just what they're good at. But in the case of Sadiq Khan, somebody messed up because they thought they could send out this tweet, which I'm going to show you in a second, to say that things are bad. We're going to have to blame somebody. They didn't realize that this was the responsibility of the mayor himself. So let's look at this tweet. He used some poll from YouGov, City Hall poll from YouGov, that showed that 47% of Londoners are now financially struggling or just about managing. I wonder whose fault that is. 43% of Londoners are now using less water, energy or fuel to help manage living costs. Interesting. And 50% of Londoners are currently spending less on non-essential items. And he tweeted this so proudly. Look how well it's done. Obviously, it's his PR team that he spends a lot of taxpayers' money hiring and maintaining. And they decided to even use his official Twitter account, the @Mayor of London. The problem with this tweet is that all this is the responsibility of the mayor himself. Let's give you a few examples of why it's his fault. His policies caused this. Remember, firstly, the night czar of London that he recruited a few years ago, since she's been in power, and the job was to enhance the nightlife in London and hospitality sector and everything else. Nightclubs, restaurants and bars and pubs are shutting down in London, thanks to her. Nothing has been done about it. Having said that, when it comes to people just about managing, well, it's because Sadiq Khan keeps increasing taxation in London. It makes no sense. So the last council tax hike has been a bit of a shock for Londoners because it's said to add nearly £40 to an average bill. That's average, by the way. So imagine if you're in need in London, at bottom of society, you're going to struggle a lot. So the rise would mean a typical household will pay just over £434 to the Greater London Authority. Now that's on top of everything else that people pay. There's so much other taxations and everything else, and if you have a business rates and all the other stuff, that's just one thing. But again, he's also had the Outer London tax. So Harrow kicked off, obviously, as usual, the council, because there's so much charges and fees, whether it's Ulez, whether it's obviously the congestion charge, you got the council tax, you got all the other tax, you got green tax, you got this tax, everything. Then even not just inner London, but he's also going after outer London. So the Harrow activists have started this campaign to stop Sadiq Khan's outer London tax. I wonder why Londoners are struggling, Mr. Mayor, when you are in charge of all these decisions. What's next? Oh, yes. You remember Mayor's solar power scheme, which has been a bit of a disaster. The Solar Together scheme was meant to kickstart the capital's switch to solar power, but instead has been completely destroyed by delays and extra costs and taxpayers bailing it out, and of course leaving many people out of pocket trying to escape the situation. So this has been his legacy. Ultra green taxes, green measures, green bailouts. This is again also includes not just putting extra charges and fees on top of everything else that people in London are paying, but they're also using the budget that is funded by the taxpayer to fund these projects, which again using to take more money from the people. It makes no sense, but that's the whole racket. Everything. It's basically like legalized mafia at this point. It's legalized organized crime. Now he's blaming violent crime. You remember in 2022, only a few months ago in August, he blamed the increase in crime in London on longer days, holidays, school holidays, and heat wave. I wonder why, in the middle of winter, when there's no heat wave and shorter days, and school holidays don't exist, Why is it that crime is still going up, Mr. Mayor? I wonder why. This is exactly why people in London are struggling. They're not even going out. They don't feel safe to go out to spend money on non-essential items, let alone essential items, obviously, because they're scared. They don't feel safe. And you wonder why more people still are joining these criminal gangs as well. Because you're not really helping them get out of that hole that you guys have created, all the statists from all political parties that have created this environment over the last few years. This is the problem. Now, don't get me started with Ulez. Of course, this channel have been pretty much focusing on this Ulez update on a regular basis because this has been a bit of a nightmare, not just for Londoners, but for Sadiq Khan himself. He's trying his best to save his net zero pet project, the expansion of the Ulez zones, but he's so far currently losing it because the local authorities and local residents are now have more power to block it. It's a central government, Downing Street, blocked it in terms of the expansion. Everything has now been delayed. So it's not really a good situation for Sadiq Khan. And he has said that he wants to stand for the third term. Yes, good luck with that. Somebody has to stand for London Mayor and someone who cares about London, not just for London, because it's the capital of the country. Everything that happens in London, unfortunately, has a ripple effect on the rest of the economy in the country. So someone has to do it who cares, someone who knows his stuff or her stuff, and someone who actually has the backing of people in London, rather than scare them into voting for them. If you find someone, let me know in the comment section. I'm Mahyar, Tousi, and we are the media.